What's up, guys? I actually just got done filming putting the stainless steel braided lines on the front, and I'm actually also going to be replacing the pads and rotors. I just figured this is going to be a separate video, so we're going to go ahead and dive right on into that. Alright, for anybody unfamiliar with these, it's a 4-piston caliper. It's not like a traditional car caliper. The pads actually slide out this way. They're held in with these pins that go through. So basically, first thing you're going to do is remove, there's a clip like that on each of them. Go ahead and remove those, and then these pins will slide out this way. Should be nice and free. Yep, some of them might be stuck. Any ones that come into work, most of the time I end up having to take a hammer and pull them out. I've had these out before, so they come out nice and easy, because I also put never sees on them before I put them back in. Next, we're going to move on to pushing the pistons back, and actually we're going to do this with the pads still in here. So I'm going to get set up here and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so the simplest way to do this here, I got my bleeder bottle hooked up. It's simply just a plastic bottle with a hose that plugs on the end of your bleeder screw here, and it's just going to keep it from making a mess. So I go ahead and open that up. So it's going to allow it to expel the fluid that is being pushed back into the system as the pads go back. And then I just take a screwdriver and I let the pads push back against the pistons, and I just kind of prime, and of course you'll see they'll get looser as you push them back. Go ahead and do the other side. And then I kind of go back and forth to make they're pushed all the way back. It's as simple as that. And go ahead and shut your bleeder screw. If you're just doing brake pads and not rotors, from this point is you just pull these out, and then I would recommend taking a wire brush and wire brushing these surfaces here, and then putting a little bit of never sees on the tops of your pads before you put them into the caliper, and then you'd pretty much be good to go to bleed the system and be done. But we're going to also be replacing the rotor, so we'll move on to that. There's two 17 millimeters here that hold the caliper on, and then there is a 12, which you can't see, and then there is a 12 millimeter up here that holds this bracket that the solid brake line is attached to. So we're going to undo that, both of those, and then we're also probably going to disconnect our ABS sensor line just so we don't damage it. Then once you got those loose, I have these pre-bent little metal hangers I use here at work all the time. So you don't want it dangling by the brake line or the ABS line or anything of that nature. So we'll go ahead and hang that up with our little hanger and out of the way. So from here we can just pull our rotor off. One thing, if your rotor is a little stuck, if it has a bit off, it may be stuck. This is an 8x125 thread pitch here and here. If you take 2 bolts and you start threading them into these holes, it'll actually push against the flange of the hub, and it'll pop the rotor off for you if it's stuck, if it doesn't come off easy like mine did. One thing I like to do once the rotor is off is take a wire brush and just clean this whole surface up. It doesn't have to be perfect, just any stuff that kind of sticks up, so that way the rotor sits nice and flat and completely flush to this hub. So once that surface is clean, we can put our new rotor on. And these are just Duralast Gold rotors from AutoZone, nothing fancy. And then what you can do is take one of your lug nuts, and that'll hold your rotor still while you're working on the rest of it, so it doesn't get in your way and flop around. Got our rotor on. We can go ahead and take our caliper that we hung up and get it into place. We got our two 17 millimeter bolts. These are going to be torqued to 91 foot-pounds. So we'll go ahead and get those back in. This is not going to be very tight. I'm using the gun, but I'm barely hitting the trigger, just, you know, running it in. And I'll just check that with a wrench afterwards. But yeah, go ahead and torque those 91 foot-pounds, and we'll move on to putting the pads in. All right, I've got our new pads here. These are just, once again, Duralast Golds from AutoZone. I put a little bit of anti-seize on the ends here, not a whole lot. Wire brush those channels out. Now they'll just slide right in place. Now that you have your pistons back, like we pushed them back. We have our pins that we pulled out at the beginning. Put some anti-seize on those as well. The top one is just gonna go ahead and slide in. Let's see here. And then our bottom one, we have this bracket. So it's gonna be facing this direction, like that. And the pin's gonna slide through these little ends. So we'll just put that in there. These little ends go into the holes on the pads. And then those little ears sit on top. Then we take our pin. It's gonna slide through the first pad, through that part to capture this spring, and then through the last pad, and then all the way through. And then once again, we put our little clips back, and these keep them from falling out. All this is doing right here, it's acting as a spring. See how I let go and it pulls the pads away from the rotor? It just helps them return to a position where they're not dragging on the rotor. And also having that back and forth movement helps keep things free and keeps things from being able to seize up over time. Alright, we got our pads and our rotors installed. All we gotta do is bleed the brakes. You're gonna be bleeding your brakes with a buddy. Get your buddy to sit in the truck. You're gonna hook up your bleeder bottle to your bleeder screw, get your wrench. You go ahead and get him to make sure your fluid's topped up, and he can pump up the pedal until it's firm. And then you're gonna open up your bleeder screw. You're gonna say open. He's gonna push it down halfway to the floor, only halfway, not all the way. He's gonna hold it there, and while he's holding it there, you shut this and tell him that you're closed. After you do that, he can pump it up again until the pedal's firm. And then you guys repeat that process 3 times on each side. Top up your fluid. You should have a nice firm pedal, and your brakes should be good to go. So thank you guys again for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you didn't see my video of the stainless steel braided line, I did that install today as well in a separate video. So you can go ahead and check that out. My new shock will be here tomorrow. I have one of them right now. The other one will be here tomorrow, and I'll be doing an install video on that. Maybe we won't get that in up until like next week or so. But yeah, keep a lookout for that. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.